And we are live. Hello everyone, welcome to today's Geometry Nodes slash Simulation Nodes tutorial. Today I have something interesting planned. So today's plan is to make a particle system that'll reference a mesh such as this, but if that mesh has a texture, the particle system will inherit that texture even as it floats around, hopefully allowing us to make very cool effects like say an image with like a smoky pattern or just a character disappearing into smoke, but the colors of that smoke is the character's texture. So first of all, let's go and put a texture on this. In this case, I'll use a checker texture just to start out. And I'll use the UV map. This is very important. It needs a UV map that is labeled. There we go, just like that. And now let's take a look at the output. Seems reasonable enough. It is on an icosphere, so it's a little bit weird. Actually, let's try a Voronoi. That may be better. Voronoi. I just want the 2D output. Yeah, colors will look better and can help us differentiate between what part is working and which part is not. So let's get started on the geometry nodes aspect. So here I will make a new geometry node just like this. And I'm going to add in a simulation zone. You know the story. Let's go and put this in here normally. And now I'm just going to set the most basic part of this. So set position, because we want to get the texture working before we do any of the other fancy stuff. So we want this object, the icosphere, let's bring that into the scene, to emit particles. That should be simple enough. We need a distribute points on faces node. Just like this, we need to make it so that the seed value is different every single frame. Just like that. So we do this, and then we join it into our simulation zone, so it keeps getting added every single simulation step, every single frame. We should now see that points are being joined. Now I need to make it so that the points go up, just so that we can see it happening in real time. So I should probably make like all the fancy, you know, appropriate particle system effects like, ooh, an age parameter and a depth parameter if it goes above a certain age. But in this case, I don't think that's necessary. We just need to implement that texture thing and we'll be golden. So now, for the time being, actually, let's add in some noise, you know, just to give a little bit of interesting characteristics to this. So I just need to subtract the color by 0.5 so that it affects in the positive and negative directions. Then scale it. Let's make sure this is a very little amount. Maybe just a wee bit more than that. There we go. That seems good. Let's scale up that. I think that is good enough for us to see if the effect is working. So let's go in instance on points. Let's make this an icosphere that we're instancing. Icosphere, yeah, that seems good enough. Let's go and plug that into here. Scale down by a considerable amount. That seems like a good size. And then we want to set the material to be the same as the main icosphere here. So let's go over here, set that to the material. Now if we look, we should see that it is not correct. We need to fix it. So the way that we fix the material setup is pretty interesting in my opinion. We need to have a UV map for these particles that references the instancer, because here we can see on the main object the UV map is there, but on the others it is not. Fortunately for us, if we use the attribute node and then we put the UV map into here, the particles inherit it, but we need to put this on the instancer. So as we can see here, if we select, you know, the instancer, the particles have the UV map that they were quote-unquote born with, but the object does not. So if we want this all to work in the same material, all we need to do is add these two together. Now we should see that it works pretty well. Just a little side note, if you want the UV map of the main object, you could just do that. So you could have just two attribute nodes doing the same thing, but I think this is better. It helps differentiate what is going on. So here we should be able to see that it works, and works quite well. So there is that effect working quite lovely. So now I just need to play around with it just a little bit more. So let me go and do that real quick. Let's go and make it so that more particles spawn in every single frame. Let's see. Not quite enough. Oh wait, it just needed to... Sometimes you need to reinitialize the buffer before the effects start taking place. Here we can see it's slowing down. Now that is a result of so many instances being on the screen, because Blender does a very, very poor job of doing that. Okay, 1 second, folks. So, I guess I need to add in the proper age parameters and such to make it worthwhile. Let's set an age parameter, so this will be pretty simple. And let me switch this around so that it's not quite as laggy. This will be so that new particles will spawn in, but it'll go and delete the old ones as well. There we go, let's just do that. That seems pretty good to me. So with that there, I just need to make it so that they will delete if they get too old. Delete geometry, just like that. We take the age parameter, that gets updated, and we say, let's do 15 frames. Maybe even less than that. We'll see how that goes. Let's see. 5 frames? Ah, there we go. That's a little bit too little. The buffer doesn't like updating as fast as I want it to. Keep having to re-click to reinitialize it. Bit of a shame, but that's what we have to deal with. That'll probably get, you know, fixed sometime in the near future. Let's see, let's reinitialize it. That's not many particles either. Just has a really hard time dealing with them, at least in the rendered view. See that is really difficult for it to deal with, while this it's just like, oh, that's fine. In the viewport, if I were to let this run for a little bit longer, it starts to have problems just with rendering. So it would be nice if Blender had a better instance renderer, but that is not the case currently. Okay, so now that we have this, what can we do with it? Well, in one case... Let's see, let me go into the shader editor here. There are a few things that we can do with this. So if I made it so that this mesh disappeared, I can make it so that there's a puff of colored smoke in the form of that object. Let's see, let's actually hide the original. So that gives us very interesting colored particles. Maybe I should make them a bit more random in their scale. So let me input a random value, just like this. I'll just let that run in the background. Set this to like 0.3. Oh, that actually looks very cool in and of itself. Bitrate is probably going through the floor. Let's set that to like... No, that's good. I like it. So, question. How do we make it so that... Yeah, we can do that. Okay. So I'll make it so that a ton of particles spawn in just on one frame. I'll make it like frame 30. So if the frame is equal to, let's make this an integer. There we go, we set this to 30. Now let's put this into a switch node so that this will only work when it's there. So this will be like the object going around and then all of a sudden, poof, it's gone. Let's take a look and snap. That is actually very little. I am amazed at how little that is. So let's set that to like 800. We do that. Not horrible, but I think we could do better. Let's lag it. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let's see. There's not enough. We need more. Or we can just scale up the ones that we have, but I'm kind of, you know, I kind of don't want to do that. I want to see if I can make the fall off look a bit better for the particle scales. So if I do this, having a lot of small ones but a couple big ones, it does look cool, but then again, I don't want that. I want it to look like the object turned into smoke. So let's set it to 3000. 3000. This will be quite bad for us, but it does work. So, yeah. We can see that the UV maps transfer over very well. The shader is all correct. And this will work with basically any shader. You just need to have that UV setup correct. And then any shader you have, like the metallic and all that, will transfer over. So now I do need to figure out what to actually do with this. I kind of envisioned having the icosphere, like have some velocity move around and then turn into smoke. Could be a cool thing, but I want to try turning it, setting up that little smoke shader first. So let me attempt to do that. So in this case, I think I may need to make a different shader to make it work. But here, let's switch out the icosphere with the plane in this case. There we go. Oh, okay. So here we're seeing a little issue, which is good to bring up. This is showing everything up on its own UV map. That's because this has the same UV map name as the other. So if we get rid of that, then it just spawns in, it does all that normally. Which, that's more of what we want. So let me go and into the shader editor. Let's try to make this work a little bit better. I think it does need a UV map. I just need to label this like UV map 1, so that'll differentiate between the one that's on the icosphere and the one that's on here. So speaking of that, I want to make an alpha mask to make, this particle a little bit more different. So let me use a greater than node to plug into the alpha. No, we want a less than node in this case. Let's set this to alpha clip, and alpha clip should be good. So for this, let's use a noise texture. Go set to 2 dimensions, but we need to linear light this instead of doing this method. Linear light, very nice. So instead of it being polka dots, we can have it be something else. Let's, yeah, and we should randomize the texture per thingy. So this should be fairly straightforward. We just need the random object info, multiply it by an absurd amount, then put it in here. So here we should see, there we go, that's a little more of the smoke that I was going for. Now I could use alpha blend. Actually, let's take a look at that. So if I orient all the particles correctly, or do a cheeky rotate like this, it's not fully 90 degrees, but I do not care all too much. Then set the normal to be, from the beginning of the object. Again, I should probably make this a completely separate shader from the original, but it's good enough. Actually, no, let's do the billboard method. Well, it'll just be like that. And then I can just have all the particles go and face the camera. Let's implement that. Let's go and move this over. Put this into a frame. Put this into a frame. What's the difference between alpha blend or alpha clip? Alpha, okay, so with the way these renderers work, Eevee in particular, it does not like transparency whatsoever. Because it has a hard time figuring, well, it has to render everything in layers if it's transparent. So it renders the whole world first, and then it renders all the transparent parts separately as an overlay. So that means screen space effects don't really work, like, I don't know, ambient occlusion and such, which in some case you want because of like Windows or something like that. But in this case, it really needs it. So with alpha clip, it just renders everything here as like a solid object. It doesn't need to do the overlay method. It just decides, okay, this is opaque, this is not opaque. So there's no real transparency here. It's just opaque, not there. Opaque, not there. I hope that explains it in an okay way. So let me set up the billboard rendering rotation method. Subtract, we take the position, then we align Euler to vector, just like that. Put it into here, and then there we go. Now they're facing the camera. The rotations may be terrible. Actually, why? I saw that clipping happening. That should not be allowed. That may... yeah, I don't know why it's freaking out quite as much. Maybe I just need to randomize the rotation by a little bit. Just so that... Why did that go to map range? Let's make this a random value. This 2.001. Does this... note that the glitches are still appearing. Very interesting. Don't appear in the viewport, only in the camera. Well, I won't worry about that right now. I just need to make sure that these are rotated properly so that they are always facing up, which in this case they should be, no matter where the camera is pointed or the camera's rotation. So this is very similar to how games render, you know, smoke and stuff. So I'm trying to simulate that. I don't want to change this to alpha blend because remember the old icosphere's right here. So if I did want to do just a little magic trick, here, icosphere exists, and then the next frame, it'll be gone. There we go. So here we can see, boom! Now, would it be nice to have the... here, let's make it so that the... uh-oh. Ah, so just... actually, yeah, why is that freaking out? Ah, there we go, okay. So it just needed to spawn the particles and then disappear. That's better. So here's this, and then boom! Which actually, all this is a little bit faded, but I guess that is a bit to be expected. Yeah, it is, but it's still a bit of a bummer. Now in this case, let's make it so that stuff kind of travels a bit more. So boom. Or maybe I should make it so that the particles scale up over a little bit of their age. Let's put a frame over there. Let's do a multiply. And multiply this by the... well, let's make it a map range. But we need the age attribute and then the map range. There we go, map range. Just like that. So now we should see that the transition was a lot smoother. Maybe it should be, you know, even more smooth, but I think... that one was like... okay, so there is still the pop. So I just need to make it so that that pop is just delayed by a little bit more. Let's take a look. So, let's play back frame by frame. So here we can see that happen, so maybe, you know, just a little bit more. A few more frames. So, that and then... that is not too bad. I think I need to change up the texture by a little bit. And, funnily enough, it still is using all the same material, which, you know, isn't the best idea for something like this. Because, you know, you want the smoke particles to, you know, have the proper, you know, maybe alpha blend, maybe do a ton of other fun stuff with it. But for now, it's fine. We can make the particles just look more and more smoky as time goes on. I don't think the linear light is enough. Even though these polka dots actually look pretty cool. Even though we can clearly see them appear and then the old mesh disappear. The reason I need to make it so that Yeah, whoops. I do not know what I just did on my side monitor. It pulled up a terminal on the web browser. So, I think I will have to separate materials. Rest in peace, optimizations. So if I just get the texture coordinate and put in the object info right here. Oh, wait. I need to actually switch. Wait a second, but that particle should have the stuff on there. Wait a second. Oh, because I have that set material in the simulation nodes right here. So now that I undo that, we should see here that the normals are upside down. Let's flip that around. Does that fix it? Intriguing. Let me see if I can... Nope. See, I thought that would work with making the orientation face... Oh, bummer. There we go. I just had that calculation wrong. Now, the normals aren't particularly correct, but, you know, it needs fixing. Let's go into the shader editor. I was hoping that would make it look like spheres, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Oh wait, do I need to normalize this? Normalize. Wait a second, would that do it? No. I mean, it makes it less atrocious, but not what I was hoping for. Again, a little bit of a bummer. I do really like the polka dot look there. I don't know, that just feels nice and calm for some reason. So it looks like I need to change this from a linear light to just, you know, a manual linear light so that I can't... Actually, wait a second. Oh, dang it. Let me use a regular mix node. Because I can unclamp the... No, wait, but that just mixes. Okay, manual linear light it is. Linear light is just subtract by 0.5, then multiply. So let's just do that. So that I can break it out of its bounds and make it go as far outside of that as I want. So here we can pull it as far as we want until it starts clipping into the mesh bounds over there. So I want to get that kind of smoky look, but still, you know, not letting the previous mesh be visible. Let's up it until we can see the bounds clearly. So here, like if it happens fast enough, it's okay. I still dislike how, you know, the normals aren't, they're not there. I could store the normal... Oh, would that work actually? No, that would be a little bit dumb. I think this method is good enough. I could make it so that it references its parent's normal and then does a ton of other stuff, but this is fine. Do you want to try alpha blend and then using, say, map range to affect it because it's no longer tied to the base object? Let's set that to 0, 1. Let the sim play. Oh boy. So we can see that the alpha is doing its job. Perhaps a little bit too well. Let me turn this down. So here we have, you know, normal alpha particles. Just like that. So here we can see that it just, ooh, turns into that. Which it's a little bit, you know, not great. But here we can see, I do like that blur effect that happens. So let's just, make it a little bit softer. Crank it up by a little bit. Nope, I don't think that's necessary. Let's go and alpha clip once again. Sorry, 1 second. I had to check something. And now, let's go and bring this back down to Earth. I think this is good enough. So that's the effect. It works well enough for me, at least. So, I think I may call it there. I want to do shorter streams overall. So, yes, there is the effect. If you ever want to convert an object into particles while keeping, some of the textures intact. Now, I do need to, eliminate that part from the old one. So that just... yeah, and I can take out this part as well, because the materials are no longer referencing the two different objects. So that one's that one, and then the second one works from that particle right there, is working from just the instancer UV map. There we have it. Very nice. So again, someone could make the transition seamless, while this one is very much not. What if I set it to smooth step? Smoother step. I think that just makes it appear all of a sudden. What if I added a random value to, like, when it would appear? So it would be in between 3 and... let's see. 15 frames and 3. Ah, okay. Too long. Let's set that to like 8 frames, so here, some of them will appear immediately. But it's still, you see the pop. We do not want to see the pop. There we go, and pop once again. It's still there. There's only so much you can do. Besides adding a ton more particles! Wait, was that it? I mean, it kind of works. To be honest, I thought it would, take a little bit more. I thought it would look like a bit more. Maybe I should give it some velocity. Yeah, we can't get away from the velocity, so let's just put it in. I want to set some initial velocity. So, velocity, just label it that, as is the custom. Add, do that, plug this into the offset, and now let's have the noise be, part of the velocity. Just add that in, and we'll need to put in some drag, but the main focus of this... oh, there it goes. Yes, let's implement the dampening. 0.95. Here we go. So instead of that kind of pop happening, I want an actual physical pop to happen. So to do that, we just store a random velocity, or, a little bit of an input velocity to start out with. And in this case, I want it to be a little bit of the normal. I mean, that works. I may want a random value to play with it a bit more. Like that's not bad. So here you just see, boom. That's actually not too bad. I wasn't liking this too much at first, but now it's coming together. So oh, this is gonna be bad. Actually, no. There we go. That's, yeah. 0.05 and 0.01. It works, so I'm not too fussed about it. I just don't like, again, how that it just turns much less vibrant as soon as that happens. Which actually, if I were to turn off the specular, that fits significantly better. Now, I do want to see what that looks like with metallic enabled for both of them. Not great. So I should make a system, you know, I should make it inherit the normal of the object, which I could do, and then just apply that to the other thing, but it's unnecessary at this point. But I could do it, so let me just try. That's all I can do, try. So let's do that. And then I just need to store the normal as a named attribute, and then I can reference that in the shader editor. Vector, I'll just label it N for norm, or for the normal. Let's take a look at this in the shader. So if we put an attribute, in this case N for norm, bingo. Give that a go. Oh my gosh. Well, that's something different. Very wispy, because the GPU is having a whale of a time with it. But I am quite confused as to why it's instancer? Wait, why is it not showing up on the particle? Yeah, it needs to be on instancer. There we go, okay. Let's take a look. I mean, it's kind of working, as we can see. But we do get those kind of smoky effects just because, you know, EV sampling and all of that. So here, if I turn back on specular, it will, you know, look kind of correct. But we should play around a bit more with this. So maybe I should make a group for the shader. Let's see. It's weird because the UV map, you can still change it after the fact. I'll do it. But I do miss both of them being completely in sync. Just a little bit of a bummer. So with specular on, yeah, it does match. But when they go around, it starts to look ugly again. Speaking of ugly, let's see, what should I do? Hue, saturation value. Just because I want, you know, it to look a little bit better. So let's offset the hue for this. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. I just need to change the original to match. So that's particle. There we go. So let's drop that in here as well. So that means they'll be in sync again. Boom. It works. I'm happy with that. And it just goes and flies away into the sunset. And again, this could be any object, so I could swap out the icosphere with the classic monkey. Let's go and put this over to here. Now we should see that that works as well. I really need to change the color on this. Let's turn this into a group so that, you know, that'll just be color, so that I can change this to whatever I want and have it be in sync in between the particle shader and this shader. It just needs the other UV map input. There we go, much better. Let's go into here and let's make this actually look good. So I can change it to just be that. I think the random velocities, the randomized normal velocities here in the beginning, is being a detriment. So, yikes. Looks like I need to evaluate on domain. Wait, that won't work either. Okay, so little thing that I need to fix. So the normal here is giving us just the flat face. Actually, wait a second. I set it to smooth. Nope, still freaks out. Okay, so it looks like I need to store the normal. Let's have this be normal on the point domain so that the normals are smooth, in quotes. And then I'll reference that after the fact. Because these normals, their output are flat. I do not want the flat normals. I want the smoothened ones. So we just plug that into there, set to vector. Vector. There we go. Let's take that out, that, and that. There we go. That's a little bit better. And then I could just reference that normal in the shader editor as well. Particle. There we go. Just plug that into there. Now we should see that the output is round. Not looking very round to me. It doesn't need to resimulate. The normal is on the point domain, so it should be fine. There we go. Okay, so it did need to resimulate. There we go. And let's tone down the explosion a bit. That's actually not too bad. And I could, in theory, still make the shaders synced completely. But I don't think that's wise. No. Yeah, there you go. If you ever wanted to atomize the monkey, you can. Let me zoom this out again. Let's get those colors looking good. So shader editor, let's go into our color group, and let's use a color ramp. I could try doing, you know, multiple colors and all that, but I'm just like, no, let's just... There we go. The specular still works, which isn't necessary, but, you know, could be appreciated. Let's subdivide the beginning mesh just to make it look a bit better. Now, I don't think... Here, let me reorient the camera. There we go. So it's like that. Sorry if I'm too zoomed out. Let's try to make the lighting at least a little bit nicer. There we go. So just like that. And why am I keyframing everything? So like that's actually decent enough for me. So here if we rewind, we can see like that, and then boom. Is it still just too... Is it too slow of a transition? Does it need to be more? Geometry node editor, let's add in the random values for this. I just want random value. Set that 2.1, here we go. It's not resimulating. There we go. Too much. Let's go and reduce that, resimulate. Nope, still way too much. That's better. So, a few things. One, I want to turn down the roughness of this. Two, I want to add in some better lighting to the scene, even though this will make the render time worse. Then maybe I should make it so that, you know, the particles are just... You just see them and it's like, oh, those are just particles. you know, they're not quite vaporous, because, you know, that would be super laggy to try to do in Blender. Particle. Let's go and reduce this. So, I basically made an Enderman effect. But that's like, that looks cool. How come the less detailed one is looking better? So that one's just do. Or is it with a little bit of that happening, which I'm... That one's alright. Oh, I actually like that one quite a bit. Because it's still... It's not like, oh, it just turned into dust. It's like, okay, no, there's still particles going around. More of a atomization. So let's go back into the sim. We're at 40 minutes. So I will have to end the stream soon. TM. Let's randomize that and that, so... That's... just a little bit fast. Just... boom! Is that because I changed those to be... Oh, it kind of is. The ones that are bigger get a bit more delayed, which actually I actually like that. Here we can see that that's kind of weird, how it kind of atomizes like that. I think I need to add in, you know, a little bit more wind in this case. And I think in here, instead of a random value, I think we need a noise texture. 3 dimensions, map range. Map range, I don't know why it's not doing my direct in very, very clear orders. Bring that up, bring that down. Again, it's having a field day with my key inputs. That's not bad. Except that we see that happening. So they do need to appear quite a bit faster. So. But if they appear like that. Do. Not bad. I think I like that most of all. So how many frames is that still on screen for? I should probably go and label all of these, as is the custom, so that's age, just so that I can view everything at a glance. Delete by age. That's just noise. Apply velocity. And that's just billboard rotation. This is just scale, so let me put that in. Scale. Just to make it a little more understandable for myself in the future. Because this might actually be a good thing to make. You know, a good thing to do. Now, it would be a little bit better if I made it so that the particles spawned in, like, not all at once, but, you know, a little bit later. You know, over a couple of frames instead of just one. So, new particle spawn. Go, let me put that into a frame. That's just for the, you know, initial velocity. Use particles. There we go, not too bad in my opinion. There that goes, and then there's the old velocity. Put that into a frame. So that's old velocity. There we go, so it's all named, and then that's just, you know, instance particles. There we go, 3, 2, 1, boom! I am liking this quite a bit. I think it just needs a... Ooh, yes, I do like that. So maybe a darker environment. So that the stuff just shines through. Then maybe a sunlight. Sun like that, just rotate. But here we can clearly see the shadow go bye-bye. Little bit of a bummer right there. That is so apparent. And that's because of the planes, you know, not really being there. That's unfortunate. So maybe I shouldn't draw too much attention to the floor. Let me turn up the threshold for the bloom. Just so that, you know, we can have like a little bit. Now, I'm hesitant to do this, but contact shadows. Let's see. Yeah, we don't need those. Not now. And that's good enough. I'll have it end at like frame 200. Now it is still lagging because, you know, that's just how Blender is. Just boom. So yeah, this actually turned out well. I am genuinely a bit surprised. But yeah, let me go and label, well, let's move the sim into a sim collection. Let's label this green. That's the floor, the particle, and, well, the spawner object. There we have it, spawner object. Very, very nice. I'm happy with this. It's a little odd to say because I'm not used to, you know, projects actually turning out okay like this. So this is spawner, well, just material object. Then I need one for material particle. There we have it. Very nice. Boom. Yep. I'm happy. I'm happy with it. Like, maybe, you know, we just need to turn up the contrast by a little bit to make it look better. I think this is fine. Alright, everyone. Thank you all for watching this stream. This one didn't turn out bad. I'm a little surprised by it, but I will not complain. Let me also turn off the floor, just because that makes it look a bit cleaner. That, and then that. And then it just goes along, drifting into the great unknown. There we have it. Alright, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Sorry for the frame rate.